Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're talking about how video games are becoming something, well, something more than just games. We're not talking about high scores or kill streaks. We're talking about a workshop for the soul, a place where you can actually build the person you want to become.
Okay, let's just dive right in with a couple of numbers that are frankly pretty mind-blowing. These come from a single game called The Trail, and I want you to remember these aren't just points on a leaderboard. They're the records of some really profound personal journeys.
Look at this, nearly 90,000 kilometers. That's how far one player's character named Hope has walked inside this game. I mean, to put that in perspective, that is like circling the entire Earth at the equator more than twice, just walking.
And what about this number? Yeah, that's over 500 million. It's the fortune, in the game's currency, that another character named Everguide built up. It's an almost unimaginable amount of virtual wealth, and it was all earned one little transaction at a time.
But here's the real twist. What if I told you that these huge, monumental achievements, they have almost nothing to do with actually winning the game? In fact, they aren't even the goal. They're just a side effect of something way, way deeper.
See, the real story here, the thing that makes these numbers so powerful, is that for these players, the virtual world is a kind of workshop. It's a space where they can build and explore and really start to understand their own lives and values. So the big question is, how on earth does a game become a tool for building your own identity?
To really get how this transformation happens, we got to look at two really powerful psychological ideas. It all starts with the connection, the bond that we form with the characters we play.
So, first up is what researchers call the player-avatar relationship, or PAR for short. This is basically the magic moment when our digital character stops being just, a bunch of pixels on a screen and starts to feel like an extension of us. They become these vessels for our hopes, our memories, our own personal stories.
And that deep connection leads to something incredible called the Proteus Effect. This is this fascinating thing that happens where we start to actually act like the characters we're playing. It's kind of like if you put on a superhero costume. You can't help but stand a little taller, feel a little more confident. The avatar's personality literally starts to rub off on you.
So, here's the bottom line. For a lot of people, gaming becomes this really deep act of self-expression. It's not about escaping your life, it's about rehearsing it, exploring all its possibilities, and sometimes it's about honoring the people and the values that you hold most dear.
Now, this is where it gets really, really cool. You start to see players using these tools to create this whole pantheon of digital selves, with each one representing a different piece of who they are, or maybe who they're trying to become.
Let me introduce you to a character named Lioness. She wasn't created just to be the strongest or to win the game. No, she was brought to life as a living, breathing homage to the player's own fiercely protective mother.
And Lioness embodies this incredible duality. On the one hand, she's a total nurturer, right? She builds this community restaurant to be a safe haven for other players. But on the other hand, she is a beast, a fierce competitor who wields enormous economic power and dominates the market. This mix of gentle care and ferocious strength is a perfect echo of the ancient Egyptian goddess Sekhmet, who is a goddess of both healing and destruction.
Then there's Hope, the character who walked twice around the virtual world. Her creation wasn't about a game objective. It was born out of her players' real-life health problems and this deep personal need for a symbol of never, ever giving up.
And her entire journey, it's a perfect map of what's called the hero's journey. The boring everyday game stuff, like managing hunger, repairing gear, literally just putting one foot in front of the other, that becomes her road of trials. And the ultimate prize isn't some magic sword. It's the lesson of resilience that she internalizes. That's the real treasure, the elixir, that the player then shares to inspire everyone else.
And finally, let's meet Shay. This character was inspired by a real person, a mentor, an economics professor, and was meticulously designed to represent a very clear, very specific philosophy for success.
Shay's whole strategy is this brilliant three-step loop. First, you explore. You gather all the info, you analyze the market. Second, you hunt. You take bold, decisive action based on what you learned. And third, and this is key, you contribute. You use your success not just for yourself, but to lift up the whole community. It turns the game into a working model for effective and ethical strategy. So what do all these amazing stories, Lioness, Hope, Shay, what do they really tell us about our digital selves and, maybe the future of identity itself? No, it looks like we're seeing this huge split start to happen.
On one side, you've got these organic identities, like lioness, that are grown from personal history and real, deeply held values. And on the other side, you have the rise of purchased identity, where huge luxury brands are now selling digital outfits and pre-made personas that you can just buy right off a virtual shelf.
And that brings us to the most important point of all. These virtual worlds, when they're at their best, they offer us something truly profound. They can be a safe space to test things out, to build, and to understand who we really are. A true workshop for the soul, where we can literally prototype a better version of ourselves.
And so that leaves us with one last vital question for our future. As more and more of our lives happen online, are we going to take the time to build our identities from the stories and values that actually matter? Or are we just going to buy them prepackaged? And that choice is becoming more real every single day.